Good morning. Are you guys awake? Good morning.
Good morning.
My words are the echoes of the hearts that surround me. When I flow, scales fall from blinded eyes, another chance to see. The epitome of broken pieces and masked faces. I represent an entire generation. I speak on behalf of the masses, so take a window seat, for I am the rose that grew from the concrete. The very essence of beauty society said I could never be. Contemplating slit wrists, a size 2 on me, that would never fit. Understanding that in order to make it, I would have to use my intellect. You see, because before I ever got here, the standard had already been set. Long hair, slim waist, perfect shape. I never possessed any of that. Carbon copy. Who, me? I refuse to be a copycat. Living up to the expectations of others while killing me, I was never on that. The orange in the basket of apples. I stood out. That's where my heart has always been at. So you see, my words are not about the struggle, but the triumph. To simply make an impact in society that will forever be enough. So if at this poetry thing I don't succeed, please believe that the pen will forever continue to bleed. As a voice for those who from the confines of their minds desire to be free, I am the voice. So again, good morning. My name is Jasmine Green, and as the screen says, I am an emergency dispatch supervisor. But at night, I moonlight as a spoken word artist. So I've been in public safety communications for about 7 years now. Going back, I am a Howard W. Blake High School alumni class of 2007. During my tenure here, I was a performing arts theater major right here across the hall. And I basically have taken my gift and love for speech, poetry, all of those things, and intertwined them into my everyday career as a 911 dispatcher. Have any of you guys ever had to call 911 before? That's amazing. I hope you never have to. But if you do have to, there are some amazing dispatchers, such as myself, that will be able to assist you in whatever your emergency is. We like to consider ourselves the calm voice in chaos because, as we all know, you are only calling 911 because you have an emergency. Howbeit ever, there are people that call 911 that do not have an emergency. So, like I tell everyone, before you call, ask yourself, am I dying? Am I bleeding? And am I minding my business? A lot of people skip number 3, and so that's how they end up on my line, calling about dogs in their yard and people throwing trash and things like that that are not emergencies, and then they end up tying up the line. I work for the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. Anyone know where Manatee County is? Bradenton, Sarasota, just south of here. Let's get into some geography. Okay, so it's about an hour south of here, south of Hillsborough County. And we dispatch for about 3 different agencies. I like to tell my high school students, this is a career that I would absolutely recommend coming out of high school if college is not the next thing on your list, or a trade-based program is not the next thing on your list, because you can literally be retired by the time you're 50. So it sounds like a long time, but it's really not a long time. And you can make a lot. Do you guys like money?
Yeah.
Yes? No? Mm-hmm. Okay, if you like money, then this is it. But I love what I do. I enjoy it. I have about 9 employees that report directly to me. Being in Florida, we deal a lot with hurricanes, as you guys know, because you've missed a lot of school due to them. But you really don't see what goes into the preparation for making sure that citizens are safe. We have meetings, a lot of meetings, to make sure that everyone's safe, and you guys have the support of your local law enforcement, fire departments, EMS, all of those things in the event that you might need them. So that's what my career is. I will open it up now for any questions that you guys may have. Yes, sir. Sorry. Am I the who? Yes, I am. So if you guys have questions about the spoken word part of my life, I can absolutely answer those as well. But yes, I am. Yes, sir.
So the poet you just read, you wrote that?
Yes, I did. That was an original piece.
I like it. It's very good.
Oh, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
How much you make a year?
How much do I make a year? So before I went into supervision, when I was just a regular employee, I was making about $60,000 a year. Now that I'm in supervision, and my goal is to keep going up in supervision and ultimately one day be a director, I'm making, I do a lot of overtime, but it's close to about 80. I make close to $80,000 a year. So, yes.
Are you hybrid with that? Like,
Like my tax bracket?
you know, like, are you just put together? Because that's a lot. Is it just you?
Oh yes, I don't have any children. I'm not married. So yeah, that's all my money. I don't have to share it, except with the federal government when I have to pay taxes. But other than that,
Yeah, they-
oh wait, hold on. I think someone else. Did someone else have their hand up down here before? Right here.
How did you like
Actually, a friend of mine saw an ad in the newspaper and said, Jasmine, I think this would be really good for you. And at the time, I was actually driving a school bus, believe it or not. And before that, I was a substitute teacher. And I kind of was just trying to, you know, figure out at that point what I wanted to do in my life, kind of late in my life. But I just filled it out. The process is very simple. All you have to be is 18, have a high school diploma, no drugs within a year of applying. So I know now is the thing, everyone has like medical marijuana cards. Yeah, that's not approved for this profession. And also a polygraph test, and that's it, just to make sure that you're not a liar. I'm aware. Go ahead.
What's a polygraph?
A lie detector test. That's it. So one more question, and then my time is up. Yes, ma'am.
Do you guys do like training for them? Like,
Oh yes, training is about 6 months to a year.
but like in younger, not like younger, like teenagers.
Yeah, you can absolutely go to your local agency and ask them or tell them that you just want to do like a tour of their center and like get some information. They just do a background check on you because there's a lot of sensitive information that we deal with, social security numbers, phone, like all of those kinds of things, and you can get in at that point. If you guys have any other questions for me, I can answer them later. So next we will have Mr. Brandon Newton.
Can you hear me? All right. Hi, I'm Brandon Newton. I am Miss Newton's nephew. I'm an architecture designer. I'm from Tampa. So you can just keep going.
Keep going.
Yes, ma'am. So that's me. I'm from here. I was looking for a picture of us when I was a baby, but I couldn't find one. But yeah, that's me. Keep going. Okay. Played basketball when I was younger, and when I was younger, I always wanted to like draw. And then when I figured out that was a profession, like homes in particular, something like that, architecture is a field. So I wanted to do that. So I went to Carroll Day School for high school, did a lot of art classes and classes that kind of pertain to architecture. And that was like one of my first drawings. And so while I was at CDS, I was able to get like an apprenticeship, pretty much like to shadow an architect. And so the guy on the left is my mentor, Ed Hoffman, and mentored me when I was in high school, all throughout college. And that's when I was drawing there. It's like a section detail of concrete, essentially, is what he's showing. Next slide. And spent a lot of time there. Shadow taught me a lot about architecture, how to make the building stand, and how it functions, and how to circulate through it. Next slide. And so that's his office in Tarpon Springs. So I would go during the summers, winter breaks, into Shadow, and he'd teach me everything he knew, sit on client meetings and everything like that. And it was great because ultimately people have an issue, and they go to the architect to kind of solve it. So he taught me that when I was in his practice. And so this is like my first project, 2016. It was essentially like a small renovation. And this person wanted to essentially extend like their back porch. So that was like the first experience of architecture that I ever got. So fast forwarding a few years, I'm in USF and they hand me this and they're like mixed spaces. Like, what am I doing? So I felt like doing backwards. It was hard. Like I was struggling. You can go to the next slide. And so this is like the final result of that. I did not do well. I got like a B minus. That's like family pretty much, right? So I'm like struggling. You can go to the next slide. And I'm like pulling all-nighters. You can click slide. So I'm falling asleep in class, taking a nap whenever I can. Neck posture is crazy. Because I was just trying to figure things out. You can go to the next slide as well. So it's at 10 a.m. I can sleep for like 2 days. Because I'm just trying to like really trying to figure things out as far as architecture. And then next slide. COVID hits. So everything goes like virtual, which is kind of a good thing because then I start to go design virtually. Next slide. This is like my first project, like I think 2017 on the CP Pier when it first opened up. And it was like a kayak, like a kayak house essentially, to store kayaks and like have an event space. So that was my first project that I was proud of, that I started to figure things out. And the next project is in New York City. And it's right next to the High Line. It's like this old railroad track that they transformed to be like an elevated park essentially. But right across the street is like a housing project. So I'm like, how are we gonna put this like really expensive museum when across the street people are like on welfare? So that didn't seem right with me. And so, long story short, I was talking to one of my friends, Joanne, and I was like, architecture, the project we're doing really don't present the community that we're designing. Next slide. And so I was talking to her, I'm like, you know, y'all know who the Dungeon family is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Outcast.
Yeah, so like the Dungeon family is thank you. I'm like culture. Come on.
CeeLo Green.
So the Dungeon family was a real like group of people like produced Outkast, CeeLo Green, like a lot of like prominent ATL Atlanta artists, and it was like a real place where they would come together and make music, and it was kind of like their safe space essentially. So next slide. And so one of the so to kind of bring it more relevant, you know who this is? Okay, next slide. It's Future.
Oh.
Future was part of the Dungeon family. And so the Dungeon is like on the left-hand side of that house. And so that's like Big St. Philip, like his most recent album was paying homage to the Dungeon family. And so I was talking to Joanne, I'm like, what if we had an architecture version of the Dungeon family so we could talk about social issues and things that pertain to people that look like us ultimately. So next slide. So my friends and I, we created this club that essentially addressed social issues like mass incarceration, like the migrant crisis at the border, and like touchy issues like that they don't talk about in architecture school. And so my first project from this club was in Atlanta. Essentially, we transformed a vacant like detention center into like a community for hope or a hub for hope. So everything in this, you can just keep going through these. These are like different renders, and every single like program has to do with providing an access to resources like basketball courts, training, and things like that essentially help people make money and have like kids have like a recreational space after school. So all these are like all renders that I'm now using like at school, kind of my passion for architecture and social issues at the same time. And these are like different architectural drawings as far as like building sections that help you see like kind of the guts of the building. If you were to cut a building in like in half, this is what it would look like. So these are what the clients like to see, essentially to see what's going on in the building. Things like that. And so then that helped me go to my thesis, right? So I'm like graduate, and my thesis is based in West Tampa, like this neighborhood that my aunt and my dad are from. And next slide. And it is looking at refurbishing a cigar factory that was big at the time, to being essentially a vertical garden that grew ancestral crops, so there wasn't such an African diet. So Africans in particular, could reconnect with their ancestors through food and spirituality. And so I was able to get a tour of the cigar factory that was vacant, and got some film pictures in here that are pretty cool. And so this is like the before right now, and the after is this. And so we were really trying to integrate like community presence while also integrating like African concepts of like community. So the next slide shows essentially like how the community comes together under a tree. So that canopy speaks as a metaphor to people meeting under a tree or meeting under a canopy for community interests and things like that. And so these are like different renders that show like how the food is grown indoors and like how people can interact with it. And like different restaurants and things like that can be housed in the cigar factory that was once vacant. So this is what it looks like right now. And then my proposal shows like how they can be transformed into like a community asset. You keep going. And so yeah, this was like pretty much my thesis to get my Master's of Architecture from USF. Next slide. And so I graduated. Who here listens to Larry Jr.? Nobody listens to Larry? Okay, thank you. So my grad photos were like inspired off of Spaceship on the Blade, my favorite album by him. And so graduate, and I'm doing school, right? No. I go back to school to get a second Master's of Urban and Community Design. And so architecture has to do with the specific building, and then urban design has to do with like places and communities. So the next slide shows essentially like my first post-grad project. It was a bridge in London, and it bridges two different communities from different classes, and they don't really like each other. So we're like, all right, how do we, as designers, kind of make them integrate? And so essentially I proposed everything that people like food, music, and like seating areas, just to kind of lounge. And so like this bridge shows like how all those spaces are accommodated in one space to bring the community together. So the following renders kind of show this from the water and different spaces that people of different classes can interact in. So it's in London, a lot of greenery, it rains a lot, so I was sure to include that in my renders and my diagrams as well. This is like a pub, they like to drink a lot, so there's under the bridge, there's a pub for them to drink and stuff like that. And then, who here listens to Boiler Room? Or Selection? Oh, you don't listen to music? That's crazy. So, Boiler Room is like one of the big companies that goes around the world and DJs can play sets and stuff. So I was proposing, you know, if you're up and coming DJs, they could perform here over the water, and it could be kind of like a way to like break your ground in the music scene of London. And so, the second project, I'm looking at South St. Pete in Tangerine, and it's South St. Pete, former Red Line neighborhood. So this was like where pretty much all like the Black and Hispanic people were forced to live in during the era of segregation. And so they're still dealing with issues with that now, so they don't have like access to food is a really big issue. So with this project, we're looking to essentially rectify that. So this is what it looks like now. This is our proposal, essentially providing like a YMCA, like service-based retail, so like barbershops, beauty salons, things like that, and then a grocery store. And so the next slide shows what it looks like right now, and the following slide shows my proposal. And so it's kind of bringing more of a community aspect for it and making it more user-friendly for the urban realm. How many more time?
Oh, wow. Time.
You got about 5?
Okay, great. So next image shows essentially how urban design can elevate spaces. So right now, this used to be it was a Walmart that closed, Sweet Bay came, that closed. Walmart just never closed. So that's how you know like there's an issue here in this neighborhood. And so I proposed a YMCA in the next slide because there's a school right down the street. But a lot of times after school, the kids have to kind of go far for like a YMCA, so I provided a YMCA right here. So this shows just like how the urban design of like the sidewalk, trees, and having like a porch condition addresses a lot of those issues as far as like scale and safety and things like that and lighting. Next slide. Just another render of the YMCA I'm proposing. And then I go to a second thesis, and this is my urban design thesis. And so it's taking like a part 2 essentially of my architecture thesis, and I'm blowing it up and not only addressing African Americans, but Native Americans as well. And so this is like down the street, it's like a mile away from me. And so next slide shows like how close it is, it's like a few blocks away. And so this ultimately was looking at certain programs, certain social issues or injustices that were committed against African Americans and Native Americans. How can we essentially, as designers, program to facilitate reparations, essentially is what it was. And so there's like banking because Black people and Native Americans in particular couldn't bank wherever they wanted. Housing was provided because we could live wherever we wanted. Religion was used like against those ethnic groups. On the next slide, we'll kind of show like how all those were impacted. So this shows how food was impacted through colonialism and slavery. So those kind of different kind of like ancestral foods could be tied in to their diet. Next slide. This is the essentially a place of reflection and spirituality on Main Street. So the next slide shows like how that's been transformed and revitalized. Next slide. And this is even, now I'm looking at like, there's gaps in between Main Street where there used to be buildings. And I was gonna propose a building here, but I'm like, you know, it's kind of tight. Let me just provide like a space for people to hang out. Because people hang out there, play domino space, all that. So this next render shows like a place for those like interactive to happen, essentially. Next slide. The community center as well is important. This is kind of before and after for it. Next slide. And this is a field as well for kind of recreation. And so my vision for this is more like a Sparksman Wharf. What's the next slide? Yeah, so it's like a Sparksman Wharf kind of feel, having a big LED screen there. So if like Mike Tyson and Jake Paul are fighting, you have to pull up here and like watch it. Next slide. And so as urban designers, we always want to see like how do these spaces function at night. So we always do night renders to kind of see like illumination and scale, make sure it's safe at night. And so graduated, next slide. And then we celebrate at like Addition. We went to dinner. Next slide. First or twice. Next slide.
I did it, hey, God damn it, I get it. They don't like to see when we win, but I did it. Hey, I step in my city, chopsticks sound like a guitar in the air. Stop and take a picture when I'm jumping up a limb. I didn't run it up, it only took a couple years.
You can skip it. Yeah. No, it's a different song. It's like Murray J. Blige. And so then I go back to my mentor. I work for him full time. So that's what I'm working at now. One I'm Justin Hoffman. He merged with like a larger firm. And so my first project ever, I get a call from on Teams, and I pick it up, and he's like, "Hey, it's Jason." I'm just like, "This is the principal of the firm. If I'm getting fired, I'm like, I just got here." But essentially, he wanted to let me know, next slide, that we won a bid to renovate this museum in South St. Pete, and he wanted to see if I would be willing to be like the project manager for it until someone else gets on. I was just like, yeah, for sure. And a lot of my thesis had to do with like African spirituality and things like that. And so this is the before right now, and this is the after. So right now, they just wanted like a new lobby, some new pre-function space, and they kind of wanted to expand like what they do at the museum. And so like these renders show like day, night, and then different interior shots of the building. The clients are very happy with the design. So now we're going through like budget, materials, manufacturers, and structure to kind of make sure it stands. And they wanted like a facade to show a mural essentially of like Carduous and then this next the Arts Warehouse issue. So it's a place for artists to interact with the building as well. So that's kind of how I got to where I am right now. The project I'm working on, I really love it. Clients have been tough, but ultimately it's going to lead for a good project. So I have time for 2 questions. Yeah.
So like you renovate like abandoned, or not like abandoned, but like not like buildings that aren't being used?
That was my passion in architecture, yeah. It's called like historical preservation. And so instead of knocking buildings down, architects can look about like how to preserve them and make them new again, essentially. So that's kind of been more popular the past 10 years, I'd say. So at USF, that's kind of like where I ended up spending most of my time.
Wait, so you still do architecture?
Yeah, I'm an architect now, but not in the student world. I get paid. Nice. Yeah. In the front.
If you like build or essentially like architect your own house?
That's the goal. That's the goal. I gotta see the money and stuff, you know. But that's the goal. That's the goal. Yeah. So hopefully, yes.
Did you go to Blake?
Did I go to Blake? I didn't go to Blake. I didn't go to Blake.
Oh.
I know. And then the very, very back.
How much of the pier did you design in St. Pete's?
Oh, we designed a good amount. You know, like when you walk in, and there's like this canopy under the kiosks. My firm designed that canopy with the solar panels and stuff on that. And then we designed some other things like on the actual pier. So it was kind of like a whole like mixtape of architects kind of working on that project because it was so good. All right, that's all the time I have. But if you want to ask any more questions, I'll be hanging around. Thank you.
Good morning, guys. My name is Jackson Green, as you can see from the but the slide says Coco the Barber. That is my professional name. I am an alum of Blake High School, class of 2009. Wait. quick backstory, I'm gonna talk real fast so I can get in everything that I need to get in and make sure you guys leave encouraged and enthused, okay? Is that good? Okay, so in 1990, about 6, my mom and 3 of my siblings, this is my sister who talked earlier, we came to Tampa, Florida with 1 garbage bag between the 4 of us. And we lived in Metropolitan Ministries, which is a homeless shelter from Fort Myers, Florida. And fast forward, I matriculated through Blake High School, and I wasn't, I would say the smartest kid, but I wasn't honors, as you guys are. But I just found a way to find my character over my grades. So even when I didn't know it all, I made sure that my character show up. I tell people all the time that talent will take you places only character can keep you. So when I didn't know everything that the teacher was talking about, I made sure that I volunteered and I helped. And I won't say unfortunately, fortunately, I graduated from Blake High School with a 2.12 GPA. But I still was able to amass a 6-figure career. Not because of all the things that I learned in high school, but because of my character. Every single room I went in, I made sure they remembered me, right? How many of you know that you only get 1 first impression in your life? You're never gonna forget that I stood on this stage with this black hat that says Lucy's on it, right? You're never gonna forget that. Now, how many of you, I became a barber, and in barbering, you probably never seen a lot of women become barbers, right? When I was in school, I moved to Tallahassee off a whim. I didn't even go. My sister was in school up there. I said, I'm just going to move on a Thursday, and I didn't even look into it. I think on the Monday, I think I got there on a Monday, I went to sign up, and the lady told me cosmetology is full. I didn't want to come back to Tampa, so I said, just sign me up for barbering. The first day, the teacher said, this is not cosmetology, this is a barbering program. I see some women in here, this is not cosmetology. So I said, I might as well stay now and figure it out. So ever since I picked up a clipper, I was determined to be the very best. Martin Luther King said, when you do something, make sure the dead or alive can't do it better than you. And I bet on myself, and I really put that in my career. And I really, really, really feel that I am the best. Even sometimes I may not be, but how many of you guys know that you have to believe in you even when people don't? Hands, even when people don't, you have to believe that you are the very best at what you do. And then, not even just believing, actually show up. Make a commitment to your commitments. There's no way that I could, like you were talking about money. How many of you guys want to be rich? Back here, he put his hand real high and he's waving it. And I really believe, what's your name? Byron. Byron will be wealthy. He will be successful because he really believes the thing. Les Brown said it was easy making $1 million, but the hardest thing was me believing that I could make it. Oftentimes, people will tell you that you can't do it. You're too young. You're not educated enough. You're not tall enough. You're too big. You're too small. But if you believe that you can do the thing, that's all that you need, right? It doesn't matter if I was a woman. As a matter of fact, I played up to the fact that I was a female cutting hair. I talked to the men a little softer. I touched them a little more because I was able to do that. Men can't really, you don't want a man keep touching on you and doing all kind of stuff, right? When you're getting a haircut, boys don't want that. But I played up to the fact that I was a woman, and then more tips came in. And then I got better and better and better. And I made a commitment to my commitments. I was sure I got into competitions. I did everything I was supposed to do. She talked about money earlier, like how much money do you make? How you do this? How you do that? It's a lot of barbers. I think the annual salary, I think it said for a barber was like $36,000. $36,000 a year. This is yearly. Well, we try to do 180 a year, and it's just me. I don't have employees, I don't have any of that, but what I did was hone my craft over the years so I can be the best and the brightest, so I can charge a lot. You guys probably pay, what, $25 for a haircut? 30? Mm-hmm. Oh, he say no, what you pay for? Oh, 40? 45. So all my haircuts started off at $80 to $200. Then we get into color and stuff like that. But what I had to do is make sure I set myself apart. I had to make sure I wasn't like any of the men. My haircuts were different. Even what I offered, I was the first one in the shop to start doing appointments. Because how many of you know people don't want to wait? I'm pretty sure this gentleman wants to come in and get in the chair, and you have to be on time. I used to be late a lot, and I lost clients because I was not on time. If the bell rings, that means you what? Late. If you're in the hallway, you what? Late. How you do one thing is how you would do everything. If you start showing up late now, you'll be late the rest of your life. How many of you understand? You know that. You'll be, and money is not looking for you. Success is not looking for you. And if you can't be successful, then you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what is the point of all of this, right? What is the point of us doing everything? As you can see, I have on Lucy's lunchbox. So outside of me being a barber, I said, man, I kind of want to cook some sandwiches because I can sell 100 sandwiches in an hour, but I probably can't cut 100 heads. So we started doing the math, and I said, hey, let me open a food truck. And everywhere I go, this is probably what I have on, because if I'm my own walking advertisement and I tell you about how delicious it is, and I show the pictures, make sure y'all follow us on TikTok for y'all leave that. It's not just like this, if y'all get it on social media. How many of you guys know that if it looks good, it feels good, then people will come? And you have to make sure you're your own walking advertisement, whatever you want to be in life. I don't know what it is, but you have to, again, make a commitment to your commitments and show up. Life, either you're going to do life or life is going to do you. And you probably don't want the second one. How many you don't want the second one, right? You want to show up and make sure you're successful. Last week we had a recording artist here, and I heard some of the things she was saying in her videos that you guys have to do it now. At 18, I was in a barbering class that were full of grown men in their 30s and 40s that had already been cutting 15 years plus. And I did not quit. I did not give up. I know I wasn't the best, but I kept going forward. A lot of people, my mom, I remember her standing on the porch crying when I moved to Tallahassee. Now, not because, oh, her baby girl is leaving the nest, but maybe she didn't think I would be successful. Not successful, but you know, maybe she didn't think I would be able to do it. It's my first time away from home. Maybe, I'm pretty sure like some of your parents, if you want to do something, no, you can't do it. Are you sure you want to do that? You have to block out the negative noise. How many of you ever heard negative noise? Mm-hmm. It could be from your teachers, your friends, whoever it may be. But that has, what people think and say about you has nothing to do with you. How many agree? It has nothing to do with you. You have to make sure if you have a goal and a dream and a plan and you believe that it can be successful, one, not just talk about it, because one, show up in conversation, expectations show up in your behavior and what you do every single day. If I go to a barbershop and you make an appointment, I expect you to pay me because I put in work for 14 years. I expect $80 out of you. I don't expect anything. You can give me a little tip if you want, but I expect what I expect. I don't want $80. I expect them because I put in the work and I gave you a haircut, correct? Yeah, correct. Right? How much time? Are we going to do some Q&A? I'm talking real fast. Okay. Okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity to do the Q&A, but like my sister, I try to become like a little storyteller. So I wrote this little story to remind people of how you have to block out the negative noise. And you can't listen to what people say. A lot of people told me still today that I would not make it, that you're not nothing, you're not the best. But I don't believe that. I believe I'm the greatest to ever do it, right? And that's what you guys have to believe. So there's a story. There were two friends, one named Fred, a worm named Fred, and a caterpillar named James. They lived inside this big tree, inside a vast urban community. And all Fred did was speak negatively about things he heard and seen. He would look at James and say, James, look at you and look at me. This is all we're ever going to be. All we do is run scared, and we hide in the leaves. We're never going to leave this tree. He would go on and on and on about how bad life was. Look at us. We'll never be better than the bugs. But James just let Fred talk. And one day, Fred looked around and James was gone. But little did he know, James was hanging upside down all along. See, Fred thought that James had died too soon. But oh no, he was transforming inside a cocoon. And then a couple days later, James came back with these big, beautiful wings. They were decorated in gold and turquoise, black, white, and blue. He went and found Fred and said, see, I just was never quite like you. Fred, look at me. I always knew who I was destined to be. This place and this tree, it was never gonna hold me. See, Fred, you let life get you down. You believed everything that people said. Not me. I look towards the future and I never hung my head. All those negative things and thoughts you'd say, I just let pass me by. Because unlike you, I knew that I was designed to fly. All right, that's it. Do you have any questions? Comments? Oh yeah, I do. I ain't trying to pay that $60. Yeah, I've opened about 5 shops over 14 years. Yeah, super entrepreneur. Never went to college, never did any of those things. I dropped out of summer B because I just realized that this is enough. Let me just go ahead and go into the career field.
Oh, yeah, you sounded really well driven. I was just asking, like, what would you tell people that who have a vision for their life but don't know exactly what they want to get?
I would say just start. I didn't know about barbering school or anything like that. There's a saying that we just throw stuff at the wall, eventually it'll stick. I've sold teacher. I did all kind of stuff outside of my barbering. But if you sit down and write your, there's a quote inside an amazing book that if you write the vision and make it plain so other people understand, make sure you just go in a quiet room and write out all the things that you would like to do and what drives you. Wherever your passion is the most, start doing that immediately. Like, no hesitation. So what if you don't have money? You don't have to be great to get started, but you got to start to be great. So just do it and do it and do it, and eventually start. You selling stuff, you have how many teachers you have? 8. All of those 7 teachers should buy something from you if you're selling anything. If they really buy into you and love you, they say, hey, Miss so-and-so and so-and-so, I know I got a C, but hey, I'm looking to be successful in life, and would you like to purchase this, or would you want to come to my play and see me, or anything like that. Just start where you are, and eventually everything else will catch up. You heard it. What's your name, ma'am? She gon' yeah? Miss Baldwin said she gonna show up, so y'all let her know. Question?
Do you do your family section free?
Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. This is a business, and that's what you have to do. When you open a business, your friends and families may not be your customer. You have to find your avatar. And your avatar, you have to know how your customer looks, walks, sings, talks. I know every single place my customer lives. There's a certain place that they live that can afford $80 to $200 hair, because I know how they move and groove and what they eat. And that may not be your mother, your father, your sister, or brother. And if they're not willing to pay what it is that you're charging, then just say, hey, can you pray for my business? And that's it. A price list? I do. Again, follow us on TikTok. It's spelled just like this. It's up there. And it's very affordable. It's not like $80 for a hamburger. I'm not. Yeah, we have Instagram too. So if you guys have Instagram or Facebook, it's spelled just like this. If you put it into your phones or any of that. As a matter of fact, before we leave, if you follow us, I'm gonna drop a coupon 50% off when you come to our food truck. 50% off your first order. So I don't know if y'all got an iPhone. Y'all can turn on y'all Bluetooth and I'll drop it to you guys. Oh, you trying to see how it's spelled? You had a question?
I just wanted to make sure everybody knows if they want that little swag from the architect firms, come see me on the way out.
Question? No, not yet, not yet. It's coming, we're coming. I know a lot of y'all order DoorDash. Question? No. Parents got it. No. Comments, concerns? How many of you guys are seniors? This is a freshman class?
All freshmen.
Oh, man, in 30 days, you're gonna be seniors. That's how fast it's gonna go. So you guys gotta like focus and get it right now. I know you guys hear your teacher say it all the time, but I can remember the first day of kindergarten, what I wore and how it smelled, and my teachers and everything before, and then I wake up and I'm 34. It's gonna go very, very fast, and that's why you have to start planning right now. I know it sounds like, oh my God, hey, you have to do it right now, because you're gonna wake up and you don't wanna be behind on your dreams and goals saying, how did I get here? I seen a lady, if I can tell this one story. It was a lady on the news, and she was saying how Waffle House should pay her more. And she said, this is all that I can do in life. She was a worker at Waffle House. And she said, this is the only skill I have, and they should pay me more. And she looked a little downtrodden in life. And all I could think about is seeing that lady on the news. She said she's about 50 years old, and I wanted to ask her 30 years ago, what were you doing? That at 50, this is all that you can do is be a cook at Waffle House, and they should pay you more. But 30 years ago, what were you doing? When people came to high schools and told you how you could do it, people tried to encourage you. I believe that every person gets one chance in life for somebody to feed into you. Now, you can either be listening or not listening. You can have on headphones and not have on headphones. But if you don't mind me saying, there's winners and there's losers in life. And you have to decide which one you will be. That's it. You have to decide which one you will be. At the end of everybody's life, somebody's gonna say, he was a winner, she was a winner, or she just was here. And I tell my mom all the time, if I go before you, I want my obituary to be 8 pages and not full of pictures. I want it to be paragraph after paragraph of things that I did. We also have a nonprofit, and we partner with Hillsborough County Schools, and me and my sister, we go in and we try to encourage kids, because life is coming at you fast. We were homeless with 1 garbage bag full of clothes. I lived in my car. I did everything I needed to do for my business. I bathed at truck stops and gyms and whatever I had to do. You have to be a whatever I have to do kind of person. Who do I have to be today? Who do I have to become? If I have F's right now, how do I get to A's? Go talk to the teachers. That's why they are hired here, to help you. Talk to your parents, and if they don't want to go, talk to somebody. Find somebody. Find me. DM me on Instagram. Miss Coco, how can I do it? Where is your shop? Can I talk to you? Yes, you can. Because either life is going to do you or you're going to do life. And there's no excuses, because there's reasons and there's results. And people don't care about your excuses. When I was here, Sergeant Moore used to tell us, excuses only satisfy the people making them. Your teacher don't care that it was a fight in the hallway. You're still late and you're going to detention. And that's how it goes. It's your job to get through the crowd and get where you're going.
That's the bill. Thank y'all so much. Thank you.